wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel
So
like
yeah,
I have a lot more to explore at this point where
right,
I,
right.
I always feel glad that I hear stories from other people having performed
Huh,
at different types of places.
huh, huh.
Um, but yeah, I can't really say much about performance, though I
Right.
am a very much a performer when it comes to like drawing crowds and stuff.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a lot more experience that I would want to have, to be able to confidently say, yo, these are the things that you can do on stage and stuff like that, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, so I feel like in my space right now, it's been pretty okay, but there's a lot more to do.
Acha,
Right.
while we are at the topic of gigging, everything was going fine and pandemic happened and everything got shut. And then the trend of online gigs started. Like people started with Instagram lives, and then a bunch of people started the online open mics, Zoom gigs, and everything. What's your opinion on that, actually?
It really helped for people to like attend gigs, or
Mhm.
rather watch people that they couldn't possibly watch because they weren't in the same city.
Hmm.
So, or rather in the same country. So, it was needed somewhere because artists had to figure out ways कि अच्छा मुझे performance in person नहीं करने को मिल रहा है, but what else can I do to keep that stimulus going? Like I need to still feel stimulated by audiences and getting to like play and stuff. And so doing IG lives, doing like I don't know, gigs on Soundbox, or I don't know what.
I guess so. Yeah, sounds
Huh.
good. I mean, people
Yeah.
did stuff on Discord and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there are, you know, sound quality issues and all, but the fact that people are working with anything that they can possibly work with in a home environment, feel stimulated, connect with people all over,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
have sanity. You know, and I feel like that's a positive in itself. There are a lot of drawbacks, but again, I feel like that was a good thing. Over time, maybe it would have like few things were overdone, like everybody was going live at the same time. 4 बजे Instagram on करो, 4 लोग online है live पे, and having some random, and I've been part of that as well. I've done all of that stuff
Yeah.
as well. So it kind of did go overboard, which is when it gets saturating. But I feel like it was a great opportunity for artists to reach out to different audiences, because
Sure.
even I can speak for myself, where I did Instagram lives and I got to hop onto other artists' lives, or
Right.
meet a whole community online who are from all over India, like, or even
Right.
not even from India. I got to connect with somebody who's from Indonesia, or
Wow.
somebody from the US, who I'm still in touch with, and I get to share like a musical space with them. That wouldn't have happened if I was just regularly living my job,
Right.
like living my life in Mumbai and doing my job.
That's why you
So
have the globe behind you. You're like global now. So I think.
I mean, it's so much. It's you get to know so much. Yeah, there's so much perspective that's added to your own art. That's that you get to know as an artist, like what other people are doing, how other people are hustling and doing their thing, whichever city they are in. Because like living in Bombay, sometimes like the life is so fast here that you're in your own bubble and you don't step out of it. You're so busy in your own life that you don't see what, or not, aren't simply aware of how other people are living their lives as an artist, just how you are. And so getting that perspective, sitting at home and actually talking and engaging in conversation, or rather even seeing that artists do what they do on an online space, kind of puts everyone in equal
space. Yeah.
Yep.
like makes everybody be equal and not be like अच्छा मुंबई के आर्टिस्ट ऐसे हैं, दिल्ली के आर्टिस्ट ऐसे हैं. ऐसा नहीं है. हर इंसान हासिल कर रहा है, हर इंसान की यही स्टोरी है.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I think it was great where online gigs happened.
Absolutely. But speaking of like discovering online artists, which is like one artist that like completely blew your mind in terms of like the discoverability via like social media that you came across?
Wow, okay. I've met close to 100 artists in the lockdown.
What are you saying? Were you auditioning Indian Idol or something? Mumbai.
I was part of multiple communities. So the thing is, in the lockdown, a lot of artists started, like mainstream artists or people from the industry started going live and taking other people on live. So
Ehsan sir, Raghav.
Ehsan sir, yeah. So
Yeah.
I got to be a part of Ehsan sir's fam, and that included like a bunch of people. So Ehsan sir like we have a separate group called the EFAM, which is like artists from all over, you know, India. Even in like there's one artist from Indonesia, there's one artist from Pakistan who's, so everybody is just connected. And so I got to meet so many different artists that have such unique talent. So pointing out one person and being like, acha, this person blew me away. Like I can mention a few. I can mention Kevin Fernando is one guy who
The Chennai team, right? Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was on a live like an hour before our call started. I was like just chilling with him on a live.
Wow.
And so yeah, I mean, Kevin Fernando is one guy. I got to explore a lot of artists. I can't even pinpoint Con. There are too many names today. I keep forgetting her name. Wow, I keep forgetting her name. There's one artist from Himachal. I'm not sure.
Himachal.
Pahadi artist. Yeah.
Pahadi artist.
There's another guy called Shrey Gupta who's a guitarist, a fingerstyle guitar.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So a lot of these guys, you know, where I got to see them and I was blown away by their art, by their talent, because I didn't get to see a lot of that. I mean, I didn't meet anybody who did that here, and so
Right. Absolutely.
a lot of artists to mention, but right now names ऐसे, you know, like it just, there are too many, and so you can't even say.
Right.
Yeah.
लोगों की तो बना के रखी है. But no, I'm just kidding. But
No, but like
no,
shout out to
yeah.
everybody who did like great in the
Oh,
pandemic and actually release music, man. Like that was tough.
Wow. Yeah, that takes
We
a lot of
did that,
courage.
yeah.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
Yeah.
No, but actually, we also happen to sort of a lot of finds from these IT lives and sort of people who made the name for themselves in the past, where we happen to sort of have the honor of talking to them. So I completely agree, because they also shared similar experiences of going live with Raghav via Phonefinity or like Ehsan sir. Actually, it was a running joke. Like every friend of mine was going live with Ehsan sir every other day. So it was like, aaj kiski baari hai, but no. What Ehsan sir did was like, I mean, kudos to him, because he's at such a pinnacle in terms of like the place that he's made for himself, and he really doesn't need to do this. The fact that he did it.
The fact that he still, in fact, like day before yesterday, he just went live and I just said hey, and he requested me to be on his live. He does that randomly, where like because I've been on his live a bunch of times or other, like just the fact that he's even done a live discussion with me on my show on Instagram,
Right.
all midnight sesh. So
I guess
because
it's
of
all
that,
yeah, when we were researching you on Instagram, we saw that. But yeah.
wow, I'm really flattered you researched. But yeah, the fact that like he's been super supportive. He's been super supportive of my work as well as a lot of others. So it was great that he was just doing that. Not just him, even Ash King, someone that I am connected with, even offline now. A lot of these artists that are so incredible in what they do. Benny Dayal, though he didn't really come live, but like just the fact that I got to connect with him even more on an online space, apart from of course on offline. So it was great to like have and build those communities where I got to really engage with not just regular artists who are like me, but also artists or people that I've looked up to in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think of like communities that you sort of engage with. You were a part of Colors of Youth, which
Right.
is a well-renowned reality show. A few friends of ours have also sort of been Platter, doing really well for themselves. It is a very sort of like a very good sort of avenue and a platform for budding talent to sort of put themselves out there. What was the whole experience for you to sort of be in Colors of Youth, and how did it sort of scale things for you in terms of like your career and put you on the map?
It was a very interesting experience actually, because I was in my second year of college at that point, and
Right.
it was a Got Talent kind of a concept where I was there
Yeah.
was competition between like speed painters, dancers, and who all, you know. And so they were having like city auditions, like every city auditions, and then 5 people across all different talents were selected from each city. And the fact that Benny Dayal is the judge, Lauren Gottlieb is the judge. You get to
Yeah.
just meet people and show your talent. Whether you get selected or not is a different thing altogether. Just the fact that for a minute they know who you are,
Oh, absolutely.
like they know of your existence. That is what mattered to me. So I went in for that, and like literally my college people had told me कि हाँ ऐसा show है, do you want to like audition for it? I was like अच्छा Benny Dayal के सामने होगा, चलो जाते हैं. That's how it. And Lauren, of course, because I'd watched Lauren a lot.
Huge fan of her. Yeah.
Huge fan, yeah. So I mean, I went and I performed. I got a standing ovation from them,
Wow.
and that was fantastic. and so it was like a very beautiful experience where just like being able to share my talent with them, and them giving this response to me meant a lot, which then led me to be one of the top 5 to go from Bombay and be a part of the show on a zonal level.
Right.
So I don't know if I can say much about it helping and building my career.
Okay.
It happened early on. It happened in 2017 early on, and nothing much really came of it professionally. But just
Okay.
the fact that Benny has been super supportive of my career ever since. Like he, after the show had ended, kept in touch with me through WhatsApp, and
Wow.
had already, like, we had connected through WhatsApp before, you know. So it was that mattered a lot to me, where I had someone to look up to that I could reach out to directly, and whenever I did something, I would just drop him a text saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" and all of that. So that is what really mattered to me more than like getting gigs, or they had promised a lot. Every show does. I did one gig of my life with Colors of Youth, and that was opening for Farhan Akhtar
Great.
in
Wow.
2017 end,
Wow.
which was probably my worst gig ever, but let's not get into that. No, but like talking about him from a very respectable
Oh,
space,
absolutely.
he had come down from Pune, and he was doing this open jam, performing
Right.
some rock stuff. I walk into the venue, and it's him on vocals, and my jaw just dropped. I was like,
Mind
I
blown,
haven't heard a male vocalist like this, damn. And so I went up to him and I spoke, and we've been friends ever since. But damn, I really respect his talent, man. He's damn good.
Absolutely, he's a fine musician, and also a fine human being also. Like I feel
Yeah.
like
Very
He's always-
sweet.
very sweet. And what I really find interesting about him is that he can do the Western stuff like at the back of his hand, and he
Yeah.
can do the retro classical, and he can go into that like you probably listening to two different musicians at the same time. He's so diverse in terms of his vocal range, and he's practicing and sort of building his skill on a constant basis. Where
Yeah.
anybody would be content with him. That is sort of really
Right.
inspiring. So he's highly regarded in our scene, and I'm sort of like in other scenes that he's also sort of entered. So I mean, more power to Vyom. I mean,
A lot of, yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we were talking about the fact that you've been a part of Colors of Youth. You've done all these amazing things, speaking and all those things. You've also sort of done vocal training and voiceover work. Tell us about that. How's the experience of doing both these different things? How they sort of help you as a musician, and what have they made you realize? I'm sure that vocal training makes you look at everything in like a 360 perspective in terms of like how you can sort of prepare and grow your voice and and voiceover work as well, because I feel that voice acting is such an underrated term, underrated sort of profession, where like you said that a musician's instrument is their voice, like an actor's instrument is themselves, but when you're speaking you have to enunciate and speak in such a way that even if they're probably not looking at you, they can feel the emotions, they can penetrate through the viewer. So
Yeah.
how is that sort of been like, and how is it sort of tied back into the musician you are, and how is it helped you of that?
From a vocal training perspective, I've always been somebody who can't really keep knowledge within myself. Like I can't hold whatever I know, so I need to give it out. Like I need to share it with somebody. And so and my father happens to be an educationist.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
He's
My
a
mom was
he's an
very
MBA professor. Yeah, he's an MBA professor. So I think teaching just came very natural to me, and
Right.
I was, I had the opportunity given to me early on in 2017, and it's something that I really enjoyed. It was a good thing to have, to do, and then get like a nice pocket money, I guess, initially.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I continue to do that because it felt really nice, and it was definitely
Right.
one stable thing from a more monetary perspective. It's one stable thing that you can do as a musician,
So
teaching. And so that's something that I kind of grew upon in the pandemic, because there was no gigging, like online stuff. I personally wasn't doing online gigs.
Right.
I did like fundraisers and all of that, but I did not do any like payment related gigs. Even the Midnight Sesh series was completely just me giving and trying to kind of help other people with the knowledge that I can personally get from the guests that I had on. But yeah, teaching was one thing that I could properly do, and so I took that up more actively. And one thing I realized was also that how I wasn't taught in a very healthy manner, like vocal health. Talking about vocal health, of course, I wanted to extend that to whoever I taught, where I can
Right.
help you with I can help them with techniques or training that's more suited to their voice, to their textures, to the kind of songs that they would like to kind of achieve and sing, because they need to feel motivated at this point.
So,
And pandemic situation, though, a lot of people were also not like completely very patient. Also, they felt like they just want to be able to express it and learn and stuff.
right.
And so that allowed me to kind of understand and do a lot more research in voice culture, voice training, in turn helping me to be a better singer and to get my basics right,
Right.
and all of that. So I think teaching was one of the best things that has happened to me, like right now as well, where I enjoy it a lot, guiding not just like beginners and young kids to even like professional or intermediate vocalists, getting to just share what I have learned by trial and error, because I've been a self-taught singer, has been a great joy for me. So that's something that I've taken up very seriously. And voice acting, okay, funny enough, my first voice acting job was at the age of 8 or 9.
What are you
Not many people know this, or rather barely anybody knows this, but I did a voiceover in a film back in 2009, a Bollywood film, where I was playing Tara Sharma's unborn child.
How do you voice that?
So yeah, I mean the film was directed by my late aunt, and my mom's best friend, and she had
Right.
directed this film. It wasn't like something that came out in a lot of theaters and stuff, none of that, but it was a Bollywood film starring Tara Sharma and stuff. Shan in fact sang in the film, Kunal Ganjawala
wow.
had sung in the film, and so
Right.
the story kind of revolved around a mother hallucinating, not I wouldn't say hallucinating, because that's a very heavy topic for Bollywood,
Yeah.
at least at that point, but basically talking to her to a voice
Right.
that she thinks is a child. So
Oh,
throughout the film, that's like she's a mother and she's just talking to the child, and there's just banter like with whatever. So that's the film. I will not mention which, but I have an IMDb page, so you can probably.
started acting for that role. Like, what was like your brief? How did you sort of prepare for the role? Please tell us about that.
They just I just went into the studio. I'm like a 7-8-year-old kid, and they're like, अच्छा ये script है, इसको बच्चे वाली आवाज में बोलना है. It's like, okay, done. So I did, yeah. So that was quite interesting for me, because I got a studio experience. Like, how does it feel to like speak on a condenser mic and all of that stuff very early on.
Right.
But I was a child, so there was not much required for me than to be myself and just deliver the dialogues. That's all. And with a little bit of expression, so that because I am pretty much a poker-faced person in real life, so all I could do was with my voice. Interestingly, because of that job, because of that project, I have an IMDb page, which is very random.
Wow.
But just
That's
with that
amazing.
thing, just
That's
because of that
amazing.
one thing.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I did not do that for like a long time. 2009 was when the film released. Did nothing related to voiceovers for the longest time until 2019, when there was an ad that we were doing at Wine Studios
Okay.
in Mumbai, where Zarons works, as I'd mentioned, and it was just like an ad where Mandana Karimi was presenting in the ad, but she is from another nationality where her accent is a bit like it wasn't like very suitable,
yeah.
or rather was not as clear when she was speaking in English. And so the director of the ad was sitting in the studio, and they're like, we need somebody to dub this in an American accent, like dub over her, basically be her voice, Mandana Karimi's voice.
Right.
And so they're like, okay, I do these very weird, quirky things in the studio all the time. Like just between takes of singing, I do accents, and this is my party trick basically.
Oh wow.
So, so I do these things. So they were like, okay, how about you try this? And I was like,
Acha.
let me go for it. And I dubbed for a voice. That ad is out. It's there on my socials. But like then because of that, like I got another ad in the lockdown. So majority of the stuff that I did was sitting at home in the lockdown. Did a Kotak Mahindra, like Kotak credit card ad. Did an HDFC Ergo Mother's Day ad. I did a Kalki fashion brand
Okay.
video where I did the voiceover. And so those kind of projects, like is why I can kind of say that yeah, I'm a voiceover artist, but not full-fledgedly, because there are a lot of people who are legit doing that very actively. But again, I have delved into this space
Oh,
a little bit as well.
they're not
And even
small
there was a
brands
show
you're talking
called
about. Yeah,
Sorry?
those are not small brands you're talking about. Like the fact that you're working with these good, really established. You're just being modest, come on. But yeah, absolutely.
No, I can only speak from a skill perspective. Like,
So,
even though they're bigger brands and stuff, I feel like there's a lot more that legit voiceover artists have the skill for, which I'm just fortunate and glad that I had the opportunity to deliver in those.
right.
And a lot of times I just feel like it's been great luck
Hmm.
for me as well, for me to even land these things, because there are so many people who are just hustling to get a lot of this.
Yeah.
But I've been fortunate, and it keeps thankfully coming, touch wood. And it's good. It's good that way. So that, and then even MTV Nishad, there was a show called Nishad on MTV. And
Right.
so I was kind of the voice for one of the actors who is like shown to be a singer on the show but couldn't sing in real life.
Oh.
So I had to be her
Acha.
voice while like in all of our singing shots, which were like 2 or 3. So
Okay.
that. So yeah, I mean, my voiceover work has been pretty much that so far.
That's interesting. Wow. So how is it sort of tied back into like your whole sort of like your music sort of skill set, the arsenal that you possess as a musician? How has it sort of empowered you now, like doing voiceover work? Are you more like sort of confident in the booth when you're recording, or like how is it for you? Like how is it sort of? I'm sure that it makes you emphasize better, and like you know these all these wonderful singers who like even when they're singing, you feel that they're sort of telling a story by every word they're sort of enunciating.
Yeah.
Like you feel so with like Shreya Ghoshal sometimes, or you feel some,
Yeah.
or sometimes even with Usha Utupji or something. Like when they're
Yeah.
speaking also, when they're singing, you feel like they're like literally.
Like it's a
saying
story
stuff.
being told, like
Mhm.
Yeah,
through
exactly.
singing.
So how does it sort of help you in terms of the musician you are? Is it like subtle, or is it still you can feel like the mechanics of like the things that you've learned?
I think my singing is what has translated in my voiceovers. Like,
I think it's the
because
other way around.
yeah, it's the other way around, because I was very feeling driven even in my singing. Like I
Right.
was writing lyrics since I was a kid, and so and even Demi Lovato, somebody I followed so much, had a lot of
Right.
emotion in her voice. So I would
Right.
study the way words were being expressed with the use of certain modulations in the voice to
Hmm.
tell the narrative or the story better. And so that's
Right.
something that I used to always focus on a lot in my voice training as well, when I trained myself. And so when it came to voiceovers or even like musical theater, because I didn't do musical theater per se, but I did like one play in my school annual day where I had to act or whatever. I couldn't act because my face doesn't move. It's very bland. But yeah, all I can do is like, it's either the resting bitch face or the smile.
No. But yeah, no, you really express.
But I think because I could like express through singing, I could modulate and enunciate and all of those things while speaking. And because I've also been into my party tricks, which is accents and stuff, since a very young age. So I used to
Yeah.
do like accents and impressions and stuff like that, where use of different
Do one
vowels.
accent now, please. I want to hear it. Do one accent for us.
Okay, so I can do American and British fairly
Got
well. I mean,
Got it.
fairly well. I got critical acclaim today afternoon from a British
What
person.
did you
I
say?
think I can say.
Critical acclaim. You have an IMDb page also now. Wow. Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, sure.
I don't know. So I watch a lot of American and British
Ah.
TV shows, talk shows, etc.
Ah.
And so when it comes to American, the neutral American just sounds like that, where you're just like generally talking to everybody, and it's pretty chill. But then you shift to Kardashian American, which is like the valley, like the alley from the valley. Oh my god, this
Oh.
is literally the craziest thing ever. Oh my god.
Damn, that was spot on, man. I could really see
Yeah.
this Kardashian was like bullseye, man. I mean, wow, that was so good.
So, the thing with accents is also that when you do different accents, your voice texture changes a lot with it. Like when I'm speaking in my normal, like regular Indian accent, it's pretty like there's whole bodied. But like when I'm doing the American accent, it just gets a little more vocal fry, like oh my god, like that. Which is a very natural thing, honestly, because even when I shift to an American, like a general American accent, it literally just becomes like that, where my voice like tends to go a little higher, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so your accent kind of changes. When I do a British accent, it gets a lot more bold, like it gets a lot thicker. So like there's this one comedian that had done this thing in his routine where which I do whenever I have to explain a British accent. So sometimes you overpronounce their T's like that, and sometimes they miss the letter completely. It's like the letters don't even matter, you know.
Wow.
So like, yeah, so when I'm doing the British accent, my voice becomes a lot like there's a way of enunciating and there's a way of like expressing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So whenever I had to do voiceovers, I basically applied a lot of these concepts
Wow.
into
Wow. When you said about like Mandana Karimi ad and they were like, we need an American accent for Mandana Karimi, I was like, why do they always come with like unique stuff to you only? But I was like, oh yeah, Gujarati गाना लिख के दे दो हमें सिमरन के लिए और हमें American accent Mandana Karimi के लिए दे दो. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's so funny because like Mandana Karimi shared the ad, like she reposted my ad and she's like, that's not even my voice or something. I don't know what she kind of like she tagged me and then she's like, it's funny to hear somebody else as my voice, or something like that. So it was quite funny and hilarious. But yeah, it was something that like, and I randomly did like this one, not an ad, but like a voiceover for a IT company, where you know you have those like the authentication code goes like this or something like that, you know, like those typical like voices that come in to explain like how to form a bank account and like those, you know, those typical voiceovers that have. So I had to do that also in an American accent. So I mean I've delved into this a lot now because of the interest that I have.
So next time I'm to an ATM, I'll be remembering this.
Wow, man. I'm not even kidding, Manuni. You're probably the most talented person I've met in the world. I mean, I just thought, wow, so cool, man. On the podcast, saying you're like the most skilled entity that we're talking to, man. This is so cool. It's so cool. How much has this like? You might be like super good at like prank calls and all. Like, you might.
Oh my god. Okay, so the one thing, and I would honestly admit to this, is that I'm not very impromptu. Like like, you know, when you're doing a prank call, you gotta like be very witty and like say things on the spot and like cover up and stuff like that. My forte is I can do accents. वो accent में क्या बोलना है वो मुझे नहीं पता है. So if somebody is guiding me, like I'm not very like, my brain doesn't work as quickly for these things. Like to just come up with things or like freestyle like on the spot, like that doesn't happen to me when I just have to like talk. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I've been prank called.
So I'd be very honest that I've never tried prank calls. I'm a very Siddha person.
You should now. You should. I'm telling you, you can change the world with like the diverse kids. Like,
I can probably work in a call center and like, I don't know, be a fraud.
You can be the only person in the call center and like people think there's like a whole like 30 people staff like in the BPO or something, man. So, but
yeah, I've had those like weird like imaginations where like, you know, there's like some random film where like there's an Indian person in the call center. She speaks in an American accent to an American guy who falls in love with her voice and then comes to chase her and shit like that. I was like, in an alternate universe.
Man, there used to be a movie on this, man. This is so cool. Like,
there is some film, I don't remember which one, but there is a film like this. Like based on an Indian person.
Yeah, there's a Saturday Night Live sketch of like Louis C.K. when done. So she basically is working in this shop and there's like a lady with African American sort of background who's like very like sassy, like very sweet.
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, you better poop your ass up or I'm just going to beat you or something like that. And Louis C.K. is sort of bitching about her and she's seeing that and he realizes that and he's trying to mimic her thing. So the lady's like, hey, you try to mimic me. And he's like, no, I talk like that. Shut your ass up. And he's literally talking like that for 5 years.
I think I know this one. I think I know. This is one accent that I've always wanted to like because it's so empowering. Like, like I don't know if like it's called the big black woman accent. Like, oh hell no. Like, so empowering, my god.
Yeah, man. I love that accent, man. It's so like it's so dominating. But yeah. So I mean, talking about like all this stuff, you know, you cited like 4 genres that is like hip hop, like pop, like art. Done a lot of R&B stuff. What do you sort of, if given the option to sort of keep further into like one particular genre that you want to explore that really resonates with you out of all these four genres? I'm sure that sub-genre sort of exists.
Yeah.
What is that one genre that you would really want to sort of bring forward in terms of like your soundscape going forward?
So the basis of all like my music has been pop, and there are different genres that kind of align with pop to make the sound that I want. So my sound has majorly been pop because that's where my influences have majorly come from. Demi, Miley, a lot of these artists, you know, I've grown up listening to them. So what the natural sound that comes out from me, or even in my songwriting, is very pop driven. But I've always used, and again, today even pop music is something which is popular. It's not really like one type of music. So on a pop chart, there'll be like a Cardi B song, then you know there'll be like a Bruno Mars song, and all of them are doing distinct genres, but aligning with pop. Somewhere it is pop because it has a commercial sound, and so that is something that that comes more naturally to me. I wouldn't completely say that this is what I want to do all the time, because I do have my creative spaces where I do dive into like a specific genre and want to be true to that particular genre when delivering it. But overall, I would say that pop is like my space where I feel most comfortable and I feel most diva, I guess.
Yeah. Man, that snap. But so tell me about this. Like you spoke about pop, like you know, we already spoken about your experiences like that you've had. Are there people you just see in the current scenario that like sort of like our radius that you sort of seen in pop that you really feel are doing tremendous job?
In the Indian circuit, I don't know honestly, because like I haven't followed a lot of Indian pop artists, to be honest, you know.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of artists like Shalmali Kholgade, who is a Bollywood singer, to be coming into pop and doing her thing in the pop scene. There's Anushka Manchanda, who's done a lot of pop stuff from back in the day. So definitely there have been those artists that I have watched and listened to and stuff. But my journey, or rather my focus has majorly been international. And so I've wanted to kind of like pave my path in that way, where I look at artists like Demi or Ariana or Miley or Jessie J and all of these artists, where I see them and I'm like, I want to be an artist like that. And so, I mean, I'm just at this point not as aware of the Indian pop artists, because somewhere, you know, like you're in such a huge pool of content that you sort of miss out on a lot of things, you know. And right now, actively from India, I've only been listening to like hip hop and some indie. So that's I've majorly listened to that. So I've missed out on some good pop, but I would definitely want to check out some good pop artists in the Indian scene as well. And I think Arman Malik is one guy that I've seen doing some good pop stuff. Like
he did that debut single with like
Control.
Control. It's sort of like it was like, I think he got like the sort of like the Charlie Puth sort of like tone in India, which
very Charlie Puth-ish sound.
Like Attention, How Long sort of vibe.
Which is
really interesting. So is there one particular genre that you feel like, you know, hip hop is sort of like, we're talking about like Desi hip hop, like the proper lyrical stuff that we're talking about. Like of course Honey Singh and all these people sort of popularize like commercial hip hop and like rap in general to people. You know, like Desi hip hop has had its own emergence, like where people are now valuing like lyrical stuff and, you know, all those things. A lot more metaphors and like layering and references and all those subliminals and all those things in terms of. So, is there some genre that you probably feel is untapped in India that you possibly would want to sort of explore by means of your own music, or you would want other people to sort of explore in our country?
R&B,
right?
As a style, because R&B is not fully explored. People are doing R&B as a part of hip hop, where they sing rap, and so that has like an R&B-ish sound because it's on a lo-fi beat or it's on a very groovy beat or whatever. But R&B, just as a genre and a vocal style, hasn't been fully explored as much, which is something that I was in fact having a conversation with Ash King about, because he's been very passionate about having that. And so I agree with what, like the conversation that I had with him, where he brought out this point, and I felt like this needs to be, because jazz has been explored a lot in India. Jazz musicians,
The whole Bombay
great.
Velvet album is excellent. I mean, have you heard the Bombay Velvet album? It's such a wonderful album.
I haven't heard the album, but I'm definitely aware of it. So
Yeah, Amit Trivedi worked for like 7 years or something on like learning jazz from scratch and sort of.
yeah, he's insane. Like as a music composer, is brilliant.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've thankfully also been acquainted with the jazz scene here in Bombay,
Right.
and in India in general. So like watching Louis Banks, Gino Banks,
Right.
you know, Mohini Ishani Day, you know, all of these guys, knowing them somewhere personally as well.
Right.
I've seen the jazz circuit really, you know, evolve and go into like the neo soul space and all of that. But R&B has somewhere been lost. Like I haven't, or personally maybe I haven't explored it, or rather it's not as popular as the hip hop and the jazz and the indie and the pop stuff, or Bollywood also. Like R&B soul, proper soul R&B, you know, is
Right.
somewhere not as prominent, and I would like to see that. And I would
Right.
rather contribute as well somewhere.
Oh wow, absolutely. I would,
Yeah.
I think that would be really interesting to see. To sort of, I'm sure that you've already done like there have been glimpses of that, and like you said, like some that with the hip hop artists that you collaborated with.
Yeah.
Speaking about like collaboration, which I feel that everybody has like a bucket list, or everybody has like people they want to sort of work with. You already associated yourself with like such prolific people in terms of like knowing them, let alone even working with them and doing all these wonderful things with them. Are there sort of artists that you like? If I would ask you like 5 artists that you genuinely want to sort of collaborate with in the next 2 to 3 years, if you yourself collaborating with, who would those particular artists be?
Is it across like the indie circuit or like everybody, like all
Could be
indie?
anything. It could be
Indian?
hip hop scene. It could be anything.
Okay, so
Tony Kakkar. It doesn't matter.
I think I would leave that one out, the last one. No disrespect, but just not my scene.
Tony love kurta pajama.
I think I would. I think A.R. Rahman is somebody that I would
Wow.
love to.
Absolutely.
Um,
God, yeah.
you know, I don't know, work with and just explore with, because there's so much to do there. Shankar Ehsaan Loy,
Right.
music directors. In the hip hop scene, I mean, Yashraj is one guy I'm looking forward to working with, and that hoping that we can do that soon, because I am friends with him and stuff. So that Karan Kanchan, insane guy, and I definitely want to work with him in the future. With indie artists, I don't know. I think I can't really place names, man. It's so tough to like really. But I think Tejas Menon is one guy that I really
Oh,
appreciate.
yeah.
So Tejas Menon is one guy. And yeah, a lot of artists that I am friends with, I think I'm just waiting to collaborate with them, like Gravity and that. I mean, Gravity and I have been wanting to collaborate since 2017, and it's just not happened yet.
Okay.
But it's definitely in the works right now.
Right.
So I
Right.
mean, majorly I can mention these names, and if in the wildest sense, Arijit Singh as well.
Oh wow, that would be amazing.
I would love to like try something out, because he's an insane vocalist.
Yes.
And the people I know who worked with him, like on their own stuff, they've also said that he's a very, very hardworking vocalist.
Yeah.
So he's one guy, and another artist who is waiting to be well known, I guess. He's just about to be. He's gonna blow up at some point, I'm guessing. Somebody I consider to be like a brother in the industry is this guy called Mohit Bharti, and he
Okay.
assists and works with Salim Suleiman. So
Wow.
one of the craziest musicians that I know, like, and I respect so dearly, and he's a brother, so there's that.
Wow.
So I think these are the artists that I'm waiting to collaborate with at this point.
Wow, this is such a wholesome, holistic sort of list. That's really insane,
Yeah.
man. So this is like my last question, but
Sure.
and it's honestly been such a pleasure talking to you, Manini. I mean,
Likewise,
so
man.
honest, so open. It's been so much fun talking to you about this. So we basically have in every podcast of ours this thing that we call the corporate question, which only Padbhai asks. And
Sure.
there's only one artist who's been able to guess that question yet, and his name is Mr. Ashwin Advani. But Padbhai is going to be asking you this question because he's from the corporate world. So
Okay.
Padbhai, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so I think you'll understand why this is a product question, but
Yeah.
you changed it a little bit because
Ah.
I mean, it's basically what do we expect coming from you in the coming
Ah.
future? Basically, what do we expect to see out of your music? What sort of things you are going to do if there are any future plans
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to plan like crazy ahead because हमने अगर
Mhm.
situation देख ही लिया है अभी pandemic का तो
True.
कुछ भी planning कभी काम नहीं आती है काफी बार.
Yeah.
But I have 2 songs that I'm working on which are
Okay.
almost ready. I was going in to film one of the music videos like for one of my
Wow.
songs.
Okay.
Everything, you know, from the team, everything was ready, and then the pandemic again hit for the second time, and Bombay again being in restrictions, we can't go into film anymore, so that's gonna have to wait. Another song of mine which I've been working on for like a while now, like it's been 2 years since I recorded it and stuff, but I was supposed to film a music video for that, and now I'm going to do like a animation video for that, so
Oh.
Okay. Mhm.
that's one track that I'm going to be putting out hopefully soon. I don't like to keep a timeline because
Right.
I want to give myself that space to आराम से. And
बॉलीवुड वाले तो आधे घंटे में गाना बनवा ही लेंगे तो अच्छा है कि बेटर है.
एक्चुअली हाँ मतलब एक प्रोजेक्ट ऑलरेडी आ गया है 1962 करके there was a
Right,
I
right,
love
right.
that.
on
I
Hotstar.
actually went and checked that and I loved the vocals on it. So
Right.
those two-
Yeah, so that is one project that I did early on this year, and there's another project which I can't really mention it, but it's in a film. It's in a it's a film that's going to probably come this year or next year. I'm not sure. But I was part of a few of the songs ka choir sections, so which was completely out of my genre, like of what I did. So that's been pretty interesting, and that's going to come soon or whenever actually. And I'm working on a lot of collaborations, as I mentioned, with a lot of producers, with a lot of artists, finding my space and my sanity to work in the lockdown. But it will at some point come in because I'm definitely driven to those projects. So
Right.
and in different genres, not like just in hip hop and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But in different genres, I'm delving into funk. I'm delving into Hindi, like proper commercial Hindi, and not just like Western Hindi style, like not even that.
Right.
So it's a very different space, and I'm trying to kind of, I don't know, exercise my versatility in a way.
You already exercise a lot of it. I mean, how farther can you stretch it? I'm just eager to see how you can sort of increase the bandwidth. It's so.
I guess until I do it, I won't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
Right.
I'm just exploring at this point. Yeah, I'm just having fun. Yeah.
Acha,
Yeah.
one more thing to ask. Are the 2 songs that you are planning to release, is one of them Be Alright?
No, Be Alright is so the thing with Be Alright is that it's been written for a while now, but uska production mujhe bahut, because that song is like the closest for me.
Right,
So
right.
until the production is like bang on, the song is halfway done, but the production is not fully done. Like it's not 100% there. So I wouldn't say that is one of the songs that will come out in the near future, but definitely like working towards perfecting it and then putting it out.
Yeah,
And
I
actually-
heard your version on Made in India. I'm sorry, Made in India.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this song not released yet? Why is it?
I think I've personally waited a long time and unnecessary amount of time maybe, I guess. But I feel like अभी wait कर ही लिया है तो थोड़ा और जब तक
So why
अच्छा.
not? Of course.
If I listen to the song after 5 years, I should be like, that should be a bop even after 5 years. Like, you know, a timeless thing. Because technically, I wrote Be Alright in 2015. So if it's still relevant, if the sound is still relevant even today, means that the melody is strong enough, which
Yep,
means
yep.
it can survive time later on as well. If,
True,
you know.
true, true.
So if it's sonically not there, I wouldn't want to just speed up just to put it out.
Mhm.
The live version is there now. Made in India ka version hai abhi. So for anybody who likes the song and has shown appreciation towards it, can listen to it on that. But I think
हाँ वहाँ पे
City version will
जाके
take a while.
मुझे मत प्रेशराइज करो, ठीक है? मैं अपने टाइम लेने वाली हूँ. But
हाँ यार मैं क्योंकि वो बहुत प्रेशराइजिंग हो जाता है एंड देन यू गेट इनटू दिस होल एनवियस स्पेस वेयर लाइक अच्छा ये आर्टिस्ट निकाल रहा है गाने तो मुझे भी करना है. You know, I don't want to do that. I want to take my own time. I want to like be able to be happy with what I put out and be satisfied.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because your work will eventually outlast you, right? So I mean, it is.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm at least hoping to do
Oh
that.
yeah, it is absolutely, yeah. So on that note, thank you so much, Manuni, for joining us. It's been an
Thank you so
absolute
much.
pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Everybody watching right now on YouTube, listening on Spotify, please go and follow Manuni. Her Instagram ID. First of all, what does Karvik Victim mean? Please tell us about that.
It's a very random name. To sum it up, I was writing a song some 8 years ago called Scarlet's Victim, which was just like a personification of a person who's very stylistic and very like chic, but also very like cunning and all of that. So I don't know. I had a very conceptual song. I wrote the song and I crumpled it and I put it on in the dustbin. But the name kind of stuck with me. It was like damn cool and all.
Oh,
So, and my
Very long.
Instagram name at that point when I had written the song was very, very embarrassing. Not embarrassing, but I was like, damn. It was Music Lova Mandes. Like Manani Desai, so Mandes. Because that's what that was my stage name at one point, you know. It was damn weird.
Music Lova.
Music Lova, because like Lova is like Lovato, but like Lova, that. So like I don't know what I was thinking, but like I was like, definitely not this. So then I just like randomly just changed it to Scarlet Victim, and over time like everybody started to get to know me only as Scarlet Victim, and I kind of redefined the whole meaning of the word, where scarlet is technically the maroon color. That is one color that I really associate with my brand and with my I wouldn't say brand, I don't know what to say about brand, but like definitely my vibe. You know, like it's got that mystery, that chic, that very very sophisticated, but also like a very diva like vibe. And as an artist, I'm very much like that. At least with the way I vocally perform, you know. So, so yeah, Scarlet Victim is basically that.
Wow, that's you
Yeah.
should launch like a design label with like loads of your things.
Yeah, I shall do a voiceover with a British accent, like Scarlet with a double T Victim.
Yes. Now we're talking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because the stocks of it is just going to blow up overnight. You know what? It's a British brand ambassador काजल आ रही है, तो बहुत सही है.
अरे कितने लोगों ने मुझे स्कारलेट विच, स्कारलेट जोहानसन क्या क्या बोला है मुझे. I am nowhere close to that. But thanks.
But कोई पब्लिक में पहचान के बोलते हैं, अरे स्कारलेट हमें बहुत म्यूजिक पसंद है स्कारलेट ऐसे
Everybody, like most of the people, they meet me in person, like at hip hop gigs, because they probably see me on other artists' lives, and so they meet me in person. Scarlet, big fan, Scarlet, and I'm like, oh. And then I think after having like a 1 hour conversation with me, like even people who meet me online and stuff, they're like, acha, so what nationality are you, or like what caste are you? And I'm like, मैं गुजराती हूँ.
गुजराती हूँ.
Like, and they're like, Scarlet name गुजराती में होता है, मतलब कौन सा टाइप का गुजराती है यार. I was like, listen, Scarlet is not my name.
कौन सा वेरिएंट है गुजराती का, but
It's Manuni Desai. Like that's literally, now do you understand I'm Gujarati? So then yeah, it's just that.
No, that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, guys, please go. Now you know the whole backstory to Scarlet Victim. Now you know. Please go and follow her, and please go and support her music. She's done some amazing work. Please go and stream it. I'm sure there's a lot of work of hers on Spotify, on YouTube, and go and follow her work. And please support indie music. Please support indie artists. And Manuni, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And we are hoping.
Likewise, man. Both of you. Thank you so much for having me on board, man. You guys.
I hope you had a good time and
Brilliant time.
Forward. अरे
कहाँ पे चले गए पता नहीं चला.
पता ही नहीं चला ना. वक्त कैसे बीत जाता है पता ही नहीं चलता. But no, absolutely. And I'm really hoping that all the work that you know putting yourself towards materializes into some brilliant sort of piece of work. So yours to a lot of prosperity, a lot of success, and a lot of diverse work. And I hope Bollywood gives you a little more time in terms of deadlines and trust the genius within you. And,
well, I hope the work at least comes in the future. I don't know at this point what the scene is, but I'm just looking forward to whatever that has to come.
Yes, absolutely. Hoga, bilkul hoga. Yes, on that note, please, if you made it to this point of the podcast, please go and follow us on Instagram. Our ID is soundhome.pod. We also have a website, soundhomepodcast.com, which basically just redirects you to YouTube. We don't have we just kept it sound cool, okay? So, and we put out a podcast every Friday on YouTube. And this is also going to be on other audio streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcast, Apple Music. So thank you so much to me. That's my co-host, Tapat Valan sir. We'll see you in the next podcast. Cheers, guys. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.